Hey everybody, it's Phil Strazula from Select Software Reviews, and I'm here with Paul Pieterse, who is the founder of ProduQtive. Paul, thank you so much for joining us. Do you mind just setting the table with like a little bit of background on yourself and kind of what you do on a day-to-day?
Hi, Phil. Yeah, no, thank you very much for the invitation. What do I do on a day-to-day basis? Bloody hell. Anything workforce technology has been, anything to do with people has been something of a real passion of mine for the last 20 odd years. My background, I'm an economist by qualification, and then I specialized in supply chain management, which was everything to do with demand and supply. So that's what's in my blood, so to speak. But then when I left South Africa in 2001, we arrived in July, and then I think by December I thought, okay, it would be a nice idea to start a business in a country that I don't know, with no network, no capital whatsoever. So I started a recruitment business, a medical recruitment business, in 2001, and then airplanes flew into a couple of towers in New York, and so that didn't help. And then just as the recruitment business started to get to grow, then the financial crisis hit. So it's been a journey. And then the recruitment business, I sold that in 2010, and then invested all my time and effort into a contingent staffing platform that's specialized in short shifts in the NHS, the UK's healthcare sector. And that got picked up in 2014 by a joint venture between PwC and then also a company called Liaison. And then 2017, I then started ProduQtive to focus on the whole workforce planning, which is not the strategic workforce planning that most of your audience is probably looking at, but more the tactical operational deployment planning. All those scheduling and rostering, and this is for pretty much for larger organizations that operate quite a dynamic workforce that work, different complicated shift patterns that needs to be governed by rules and regulation. And then with the contingent staffing piece that plugs into that and all the compliance, then all the recruitment. So the whole ProduQtive platform was developed over about 6 years, yeah, so that's where we are at the moment. So it's been a long journey in the people business. I hate saying that because it sounds like slavery, the people business. But anyway, it is what it is.
That's great. And thanks for sharing that. And I guess for anybody out there, strategic workforce planning, typically people are talking about, hey, we're planning for the future. We're going to need 30 more engineers in Boston and 10 more salespeople in this place. And so where do we hire them, et cetera? And you're really dealing with like, hey, today, we need 4 people in this location and with these certifications and, 10 people in this location, et cetera. And how do we kind of plan for that and track hours and all that stuff?
Yeah, so the typical workforce planning that we will do is it's more capacity and demand management. So if you look at a hospital, you have the demand factor, which is sick people walking through the doors, but you have a supply component, which is to make sure that at any given time throughout the year, based on seasonally adjusted times, that you have the right combination of workforce available, so that not everybody goes away on holiday in the peak times when you need most people on site. And then we do some degree of when you extrapolate or forecast what that demand will look like, using basic, stuff like, aging population, demographics of people. So it can, and then they design services based on those demographics. So people say, well, hospitals are dangerous places to go to because, there's a lot of sick people. So can we treat many of them at home? But then when you move that demand out of a hospital into a domestic environment, then you need to adjust the way you deploy your staff, not sending them to do a shift work at a hospital, but maybe they need to go first call on Mrs. Jones and then drive and go to Mr. Sam and then drive again. So the whole way you deploy your resources. So there's a strategic component to it, but what our system does really well is forward looking for the next week and go, oh, crikey, you know, that department has a lot of sickness because of COVID. We need to move people from this department into that department. Oh, we don't have enough of that. So now we need to go and pull contingent resources. Which agencies are the most cost-effective agencies? Oh, these three. Oh, can we not just borrow doctors and nurses from a neighboring hospital, which we invented this collaborative bank additional source just to reduce the demand on agency. So it's a very tactical process. We've managed to automate some of that. I mean, I tend to use it. It's sensible automation, because I think AI being the buzzword of everything, I'm careful not to say it's AI or it's a simple algorithm. It's if this happens, then that happens. It's no machine learning.
It's an automation.
Yeah, it's really just looking at where can we find the best resources at the most effective cost, least effective risk. And that's kind of what the planning does. So sorry, I could have went on a bit of a tangent there.
Got it. Makes sense. I guess I'm curious, like, from your perspective, having been in this industry now for a few decades, how have you seen HR technology change from 2001 through 2023?
Front end. It's been actually quite astonishing, where traditionally we would look at technology as the engine, the back end does all the heavy lifting and you make sure that everything works really, really well. Now, if it doesn't look amazing, it's awful. And the thing is also in the past, and this is, how can I say this up? This is a mind shift I needed to make, where traditionally you would give the customer everything. And that's why ProduQtive, it comes across as a big platform, but it's all individual point solutions. And we recognize that some of those point solutions are in the scale of amazing to pretty awful. Some of them they are fantastic systems that are really, really, as a point solution, fantastic. And ours probably not there, but it's a lot more cost effective for our customers to use us. And then we build in some customization to build it up. So what we've seen is the incredible emphasis on expertise, that real drive to almost amazing, perfect solutions that you could flick a switch and off you go. As well as if I look at my first application, 2007, you go to a customer and say, okay, I've got this idea. If you can give me some money, we could develop something. And then we go, yeah, that's fine. So you develop with your partner. Now, because of this, the menu of services and solutions available, if it's not perfect from day one, they go, this is awful. Mm-hmm. And then your attrition just goes out the window. So you have to be incredibly, incredibly accurate with your positioning, with what you wrap around it, your messaging, the robustness of the application, because if it works, it spreads like wildfire. If it doesn't, it spreads like wildfire. And you kind of, and that, I think, amplifies the risk in a way of modern day workforce technologies. I mean, you blink and there are hundreds of new providers, 13-year-olds from Vietnam producing a fantastic app, and they go, shit, how could you keep investing and to kind of make it work? So I don't know. That's just my take on it. There's probably plenty of more.
I think that's a big part of it. When I worked for a venture capital firm in like 2010, 2012, and literally a lot of the fastest growing companies back then were just taking something that somebody had built the software solution, and maybe it was SaaS, maybe it was on-prem, but the real innovation in that time period was just make it look decent, make the UX pretty good. And now we've gotten to a point where we're so used to using all these apps, whether it's Instagram or online banking. And I forget what I was doing last night. I think I was buying something online, and the checkout process, there was a button that should have been here and it was up here. And it probably took me like 6 seconds to figure out the button was up here, but I was just like angry. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
yeah,
I was like,
absolutely.
this is ridiculous. And if I didn't want this product, like I would have just left. And I think that that's what's happening with a lot of these solutions, whether it's enterprise or B2C, like it's got to be top-notch UI UX.
Oh, you know, luckily my wife is she's a good sounding board as well. So because I often hear her, this is rubbish, and then what's wrong? No, this app is junk. And so if I know what not to do, then I'll go and speak to my wife, because she's very 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 sharp with all of the apps. But yeah, I mean, the trend, you kind of have to think, okay, where's the trend going? How much more can you improve? How much more can you squeeze onto that little retail space? And I find the trade-off is a little bit difficult, especially when complicated systems, not complicated, systems that deal with complex data like rostering and scheduling. We have so many data points and variables. To try and squeeze all of that data onto an iPad, where you have to say, okay, show me where all my 300 employees are, becomes a real challenge. So you sacrifice a little bit of the flashy wheels and spinning wheels and flashing lights to just getting the work done and just making sure you move the user from one end to the other.
Yeah.
And
you mentioned artificial intelligence. I guess that's the buzzword, but it also feels like there's like actually something real there with this ChatGPT stuff, and which is also ironically, it's sort of like technology that's been around for a little bit, but there's a new UI and UX, so like people are actually adopting it and getting value out of it. Where do you think the HR tech landscape is going? Is it very much like an AI driven world in 5 years, or?
Oh God, I hope not. I love AI. Make no mistake. You know, I'm a big, you know, when it's sensible. When people go, yeah, you need to have an interview with a bot. Like, can we just, you know, it's a people industry. You know, I like talking to you, and I like to ask you the question. See, are you really telling the truth here? Are you looking their way? What's happening?
Right.
And I get why, but hopefully, you know, there's still some humanity in the workforce and human resource management. But yeah, if it means optimizing a process, removing junk, making things easier for people, brilliant. AI. There's also for the predictable analytics, the big data that you can use. You probably know them. There's a company called Lightcast. They merged with Burning Glass, or acquired Burning Glass. I had a conversation with them the other day, and I was totally blown away of how much they do with the hundreds of millions of data points that they collect. Just simple things about, you know, projecting somebody's career, what they need to do at what point, those sort of things. In AI world, it's gold dust, because it takes the guesswork out of the equations. Right? If it also means that, you know, if I can automatically rank people from, you know, most suitable to least people, it removes that emotion out of the process to a degree. They make the whole process more objective, if that's the correct word. So there's a lot that AI can do, as long as we just don't use the humanity behind what it is that we do. We love people, you know. We need one, you know. We still need to not lose touch with that.
Yeah, I think the ideal scenario is this stuff just starts doing the stuff we don't want to do, right? Like, or that we can't do. Like maybe like some really complicated big data analysis or whatever the case may be. But I think you're right, especially in the next, it's hard to predict. This technology is changing so quickly, but certainly in the next like 3 years, I think it's going to be an augmentation. And then, you know, maybe 10, 15, 20 years from now, we'll be living in a world where there is no real white collar work, and you know, or in many blue collar jobs as well. And we're, you know, we have a lot more wealth and a lot more free time to like do stuff. But I don't know, that's like it's hard to contemplate that.
But you and your viewers are, you know, in a far better position than I am to even speculate on that. It is.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know if anybody is, to be honest, beyond like, I don't know if anybody is in the whole world, but anyways, where can people find out more about you and kind of the stuff that you're working on if they, watch this and want to get in touch?
ProduQtive.com. I mean, there's productive with a Q. We had to spell it with a Q because we couldn't register the domain, but then obviously we started to play with the Q a little bit and thought, okay, well, Q branch from James Bond, and so then everything became Q. But yeah, so productive.com, or they can email me directly at paul@productive.com. Follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on wherever. We would love to, just get in touch and get to know things or get to know people.
Cool.
We don't discriminate between small or big or extra large customers. We have small charities that use our systems. We have the Foreign Office using our systems with the Department for Transport. So we have some interesting customers in a really broad range. We have the NHS, obviously, and we would love to help see if we can support customers outside the UK, because that's our dream, is to see if we could migrate the other way. Because I often see there's US companies migrate really well from the US into UK and Europe, but it's not often that UK companies easily just transfer or transpose into the States and Canada. I think it's there's this perception, we might, that our systems are probably not suitable for the US market. But we would love to see if we can change that.
Awesome. Well, Paul, thank you so much for joining me and sharing some insights, and have a great rest of your day.
Okay, thank you so much.